Welcome to Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas. Backed by popular demand is the intrepid Drake Bailey for another question and answer session. You may want to make some popcorn and buckle your seatbelt. This one will be another wild ride. Here is your host, Gail of Gaia, with her guest, Drake Bailey.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and by golly, I got Drake on today, and we got the system working, and it didn't look like it was going to at first, but we're good. We're good to go now, right?
I guess. How do y'all?
Oh, did you? And you wanted me to do this gallery view, right?
Gallery view? I don't know nothing. I ain't gonna do that. If I do things with a computer, usually the computer gets even if it's the right thing I do. I hit the right button and it does something totally different than what I told it to do.
Okay, well, this is where you can see both of us at the same time. So if I make a face at something that you say, you can see it.
And I can have all kind of fun with her. I know when I'm getting to her when I do certain things.
I have the prerogative of having my own opinion about some things.
You did what?
I said I have the prerogative of having my own opinion about some things, whether they're right, it's right or wrong. I mean, we all find out in the long run. Right?
Well, let me ask you a question. You got your microphone turned all the way up?
All the way up? I don't know. Let me look.
Well, it's high, higher than a little higher than it is if it'll do anything like that.
You want it to be higher?
Well, it would sound better. I think it'd sound better if it was a little more even.
What seems to happen all the time is people say that I'm too loud and you're not loud enough.
So, oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, shame on both of us. Maybe we ought to just quit.
Yeah, really. That's what I feel like sometimes when people sit and complain about little things that I don't really have that much control over,
Well, maybe they ought to get a hearing aid if they can't hear it. This ain't difficult. Did you notice what I put in the chat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're going to have funners from now on out.
Well, it's pretty exciting. There's so much happening right now.
Yeah.
I guess I should let you speak, Drake, because people are waiting to hear.
Well, I thought you might know everything. I figured out, most women do. I just leave it alone, let you do it. And when you get done, then I'll kind of slip in the door. No, seriously, there's a whole bunch of different things that have happened real recently. One of the main ones is the edict of a state of war. That means that martial law can be declared, and they don't even have to tell you. They can just come in and, hi, how you doing? I'm from the government, and we're here to take everything that is dangerous. Now, how you gonna cook dinner without a paring knife? No, you can't have a poker for your fireplace. You might hit somebody with it. You mean like you thump? The gist of it is very simple. We have gone from a medical emergency to a what do they call that? Military preparedness situation. That was at the point when they did that, and that's been a few days ago. That meant that they were putting all of the active duty military on high alert. Secondly, then they declared the full military operation of war against this disease. Well, that means they can declare martial law at any minute. Don't have to tell you squat. Okay, now here's the fun. Anybody that's been watching the news should have taken note. They've got these graphs, and they're digital type you got one little thing down here and one little thing up here and another one up above that. Okay, anyway, I am looking directly at South Korea, and there's a reason for that. on Fox News and a couple of other stations, a couple other places, as well as Facebook and whatnot, they show a graph. When all the fun and games started, and this is in China, everybody went, "Oh my!" Okay, true. I think it's interesting that within a day, all of a sudden they started having cases pop up, specifically in South Korea. I thought that was kind of interesting of its own. Then the second part of it come about, and these little graphs kept climbing and went all above the ceiling and everything. And I thought it was really, really interesting that all of a sudden that graph goes up and then it comes right back down. They have right now less cases of this, whatever it is. I call it a flu bug on steroids, genetically modified to want to grinch up on you, kind of, silly stuff. But all of a sudden they went down to nothing, just basically. Come to find out, I talked to some people that are very familiar with and connected into South Korea, and they told me that they have the antiviral, and all of a sudden when they started putting that out, it's a straight up shot. It has the antigen, the thing that kills that virus, and clinically pure water. That's it. They started shooting everybody up with that, and all of a sudden they ain't got no disease. I find it interesting, and this is the fun part. Not so much that they did that, but Mr. Trump, as president and other things, I have great respect for you. The rest of your administration, not so much. One of the main things that I am going to stipulate is that you are either playing along with some nasty people, or you have not been briefed, or you didn't see this, or something of that nature. The reason I say that is that if somebody's got an antigen that will kill this thing as an antiviral or whatever you want to call it, you can, within hours, not days, months, or whatever, within hours, you can have that stuff starting to be manufactured in bulk right here in the good old US of A, and deal with this horse hockey of shutting everything down because somebody might get a flu bug that'll rip their nose off or whatever their fear is, okay? The fear porn is heavy. As I've stipulated before, statistics are simple. Out of 100 people, 90 have a runny nose or whatever, flu symptoms. Basic few, maybe not even severe flu. One guy said he had a cold. He had colds that were worse than this, whatever it is. Anyway, so 90%. And this is between 80 and 90%. It varies according to location. But think about this aspect of it. These people don't die. They don't get sick to the point where they bleed on the floor or anything. What happens is simple. They blow their nose and go on about their business, okay? The interesting part of it is the other 10%. That small percentage of that 10%, half or 5%, have to have something a little stronger than over-the-counter medication for flu. So they go see the doctor maybe, right? Then it leaves 5%. Then you have 3% of that who require hospitalization. This is when you don't have an immune system because your parents were too stupid to roll you in the mud when you was a kid or whatever. And, they say older people, "Oh, I don't breathe so good anyway, and now the bugs got me." Whoopity-doo. 2%, the following 2% is the death rate. That's 2 per 100 of the cases that they can find. There's another one. I'm gonna mess with this administration terribly. You guys need to suck it up and become realistic. And by that I mean very simply, the antigen's just one. They have, and you'll love this, electronic testing equipment that shows whether or not you got that virus in probability as to your symptoms. And, it's beautiful. They rub it on your skin, and they can, and within hours, okay, at the most, usually within minutes, they can tell you whether or not you got it or not. Think about that. We still got a backlog of test kits that we got to analyze in the laboratory. Horse hockey. Get off the pot and start doing something. Dragging your feet, delay tactics, ain't cutting it with anybody I know. That's basically where that is. Now, my show's title for Saturday is Paranoia. And I have some things that I'm going to cover. They're going to blow some people's minds. We have seen on Facebook all kind of fights over toilet paper. You know, what the, you know, come on now. If you really want to be nasty to, if you want to be nasty to somebody, knock them down and rub your butt on them like the dog rubs on the carpet. Think about it. I mean, you want to get even, there you go. Now, let's get toilet paper, hand sanitizer, etc. Okay, most people were not buying great amounts of any particular thing at the point that my wife and I went down to Kroger last week. However, the people had lost their minds, and everybody had a cart. There wasn't any carts. If you didn't catch one in the parking lot, you probably won't get a cart, except for one of them little baby carts they got. Anyway, we went inside. There wasn't any carts. We couldn't believe it. Well, we went and did some shopping. We didn't buy a whole lot of anything in particular. However, I noticed, first thing I noticed was that they got these slanted shelves where they stack stuff up. And most of the potato portion was empty. And somebody actually, hey, while it's empty, I think I'll, clean it up a little bit. It was cleaned out. Now, why they did that, I don't know. They left the green veggies mostly alone. Now, they did take a whole bunch of other things. But what was fun, we went in there, we got what we wanted. We come out to go through the checkout, and the lines were unbelievable. I'm talking about half the distance, half the width of the store. 15, 20 people in line to get to the cashier. And the parking lot was going crazier because it was a little later in the day. I thought, ooh. Then I get back here and I got some rumors. I found out that ammunition is not being controlled by the federal government as of yet. Having trouble getting it because of shipping. Remember I said internal shipping should remain at whatever it was before any of all this come about. Well, it ain't. The thing that I found, I went and I looked for some specifics at a certain place, little gun shop here in town, and I thought that was pretty cool. The person that told me about the ammunition wasn't quite correct, obviously, okay? The other stipulation that that person made was that our town is out of toilet paper. Oh my God. What is this, the end times? I mean, think about it. I mean, let's ask the question. What do you use to wash your butt? It ain't toilet paper because it won't make it through the shower, right? Well, anyway, if you gotta use something, you can, go to the dollar store and buy a whole humongous stack of them 29-cent a piece washcloths. My host keeps playing with a dog. That's hard to take sometimes. Anyway, so I decided to push on things. I said, hey, what with all this stuff going on? Hey, E.T., hello, boys. Wouldn't this be a good time to insert yourself into our little game we're playing? And one of the, he's a crusty commander. Now, the reason I say he's crustier than I am, and I get pretty crusty. This old boy, he gives me a funny look. And I mean, it's funny looking. Like, dude, what's the matter with you? I said, hey, it's perfect time. Everybody's locked down at home. You can't go anywhere. They ain't serving up burgers or anything and doing nothing. you know, with everybody, you know, at home, that would be perfect. They won't even see you land. You could land in the parking lot of one of the malls, and nobody pay no attention. They probably figure that they had, oh, I bet the bug has given me hallucinations or some silly shit. Okay, so what we're looking at is not necessarily reality. And E.T. said, no, it ain't settled down or calmed down yet again. I said, well, maybe you guys could tell somebody to get off the stick, you know, shift gears or something, use that clutch, get it out of granny gear and let's go. And they said they would see what they could do. I have no idea what that means. They may be getting ready to smack somebody around. Now, I'll give you a clue. One of the reasons that the red-eyed demon of Russia is so popular is because he grabbed a certain well-known leader of Russia by the throat and went, smacked him around. Look here, boy. You know, straighten up your stuff, okay? And he did. Now, the situation is really interesting. Back during the Great Depression and other problems of this nature, and it wasn't exactly like this. This is the first. But back during the great financial problems, there was one in 1785, 1803, and 1810. And these problems were similar in scope because of the amount of money involved and the number of people to what we got going on in what's called the Great Depression. Now, the Great Depression was a real mother, but it fell, stock market fell over 1, 2, 3 days, 4 days maybe. It took them, let's see here. I got the notes over here. Let me grab my, oh boy, they're buried. Bummer. Oh no, they're on the other side of the tablet. I knew something was wrong. Okay, the Great Depression started in 1929. The central bank screwed things up again in 1931, and so we stayed where we was at. They didn't actually accomplish much other than rip the scabs off. Or you remember when you'd have a Band-Aid stuck to your hand or something, and one of your uncles or your mom or somebody grab that dog and go rip, and you could swear to God your whole arm just fell off. Well, central banks acted equally stupidly. So what they did was we had a 3-year period. Great Depression, boom, everything goes in the toilet. And we had these little bumps and ups and downs and whatevers that were a part of them trying to fix it. Every time they tried to fix it, it screwed it up again. Finally, we had a president who said, hey, quit screwing with it, leave it alone, see what it does. They did. Guess what? We recovered. Okay. The effects of the Great Depression were felt worldwide, similarly to the globalism that we've got going on right now. The difference is this: it was not nearly as severe globally. It wasn't like being here, where you had to go to the bean line if you wanted to eat, that sort of thing. The market at the just before everything fell over, just before the Great Depression monetarily kicked in, was at 381. It closed 3 days later at 41. Now that's a 89% loss. We ain't near that. We're at about 30, 35%, somewhere in that area. We're approaching 40 to 50. But the neat thing about the Great Depression is the amount of time it took to bring things back to normal. Now, that's normal production, that's normal jobs, that's normal, people going out and about. And you're going to love this. From 1933, that's a year after the central bank quit screwing it up, it took until 1954 to recover. That was when they got back to where it all started from. That 381 finally reached that level again. It was solid. It wasn't fluctuating like our market is now. It was like some kind of a roller coaster ride. That's 21 years. Now, think about it very carefully. So this time we have something multiply worse. And by that I mean the reason I'm saying that, everything is shut down globally. Now, China decided to put people back to work anyway. No, what that means is that the deep state, both there and here, people are getting ready to go back to work, by the way. Before we'll wait until the end of the month. Guess what? They ain't gonna wait till the end of the month. My money maker is broke. And that's where the problem comes in. Now, the further part of this is that if you noticed or watched the market at all, it's doing this stuff. It's called flutter. That means that it gets to a certain general level and flutters. Goes up, goes down, goes up, goes down, goes sideways once in a while. What we're looking at is that these people are desperate. And there's a reason for that. If or when the market goes into the 18s and stays there, the whole of the financial markets, all of them, get to reconsider the basis whereby they operate, the very basics, and they're going to have to adjust a bunch of stuff. The federal government's saying, oh, we'll send you some money. Okay, well, how many times and how long can you do that? Trying to say, oh, vaccines are going to wait until August. January, February, March, and August is 8. What are we talking? Why are we talking about 6 months? South Korea already did it. Why ain't we doing it?
That makes me.
There's, the official horse hockey is right up to here. There has to be some kind of problem in the wood pile. So I talked to ET again. I said, hey, well, what about all this stuff? He said, well, the general news is that we are we have re-outfitted the moon and we're restocking it, resupplying it. This is why you might see great motherships on the dark side of the moon or getting into that area, dropping off stuff. Now, a lot of people don't know how big a mothership is. Take about, double wide, 3 tall, and 6 long battleships or aircraft carriers. They'll fit comfortably inside a mothership. That's how big they're huge. So the situation we've got is that supposedly, according to some people who don't care how many people understand it, they forgot to be sure brain was engaged before putting their mouth into gear, stipulate things. There's a lot of stuff going on from Q, a lot of quotes. They're not accurate. They did not come from the white hats. Well, how do I know? One of the white hats is a pretty good friend, I consider, and I know some of the others as well. And they said there ain't no way. If it ain't on our website, that's where you go to check. If it ain't on our website, we did not publish or produce it. Think about that very carefully. Number 3, and this is the fun part. ET is stipulating to certain people to get ready for a. Actually, it'd be pretty much like chemtrails on steroids. They got something that kills all the nasty stuff, and they're getting ready to spray the whole planet, so we don't have to fool with it no more. Okay. Now the problem is that when you turn something off, like our economy, no burgers out the door or whatever, it takes a period of time in order to get that thing started back up again. This is auto plants. This is fast food. It's everything. Groceries. All the groceries are getting emergency shipments of non-perishables like dried goods, as well as canned goods. Apparently somebody figured out what the oligarchs were up to. Now, the oligarch can be somebody that makes $250,000 a year. And what is interesting about what they stipulated was this. The reason the gold and silver prices and whatnot keep bouncing up and down, they're selling. Why are they selling? Well, their moneymaker's broke and they ain't getting no cash. So, first thing you're looking for is cash. Now, here's the fun. This is the kicker. The second thing they're looking for is food. Oh. By the way, ammunition and gun sales are at 5 times normal. Everybody's buying. Think about that very carefully. You might need one in order to keep them from, we'll say, in your case, Gail, think about some butt wipe wanting to barbecue your dog. Would you be willing to shoot him? I would, just because the dog don't deserve that. It's a nice dog. I don't think that people get it. We got a lot of division, for one, okay, be it political, social, or whatever. And that division has been getting worse. It started back in the late 70s, early 80s, and it has been growing ever since. Now, in the 90s, it went boom. And by that, I mean the people that, oh, you're dissing me. And this little dink will pull out a gun and go, bang, just shoot you. Well, that generation now is, and think about it, from the 80s to now, that's 30 years. These people are grown. What do you do? What do you think they did in terms of raising their kids? What do you think they taught them? That it is okay to expend human life just because you feel like it ought to be done. No good reason other than exactly what I said. And that societal change, where you're playing video games, you're not dealing with straight up human interaction, you know, where you get together, where you buddy around, you enjoy things, okay? That's not happening. Everything's shut down, for one. You think that helps? No, that makes it worse. That separates people more so than they were already separated. Now, the ideologies, such as I'm a carnivore or omnivore. I like veggies. I love veggies, cooked raw or whatever. But I also eat meat. Some people cannot stand the idea. Well,
they each their own. I mean, they have the right to do.
Yeah. Everybody, those things are mild. The political scene, however, I want to kill something. Well, okay, that's horse hockey as well. Why? Because either party is the flip side of the same coin. Think about that very carefully. There was a movie called Shooter, and Wahlberg did a pretty good job in that, but there were some things said. There ain't no Shiites and Muslims. There's only haves and have-nots. Think about that very carefully. 70%, 80% of the have-nots. Okay? There's only so many seats at the table. You might as well get well paid for what you can do, that sort of thing. And then the stipulation was that because of what has been transpiring, it will continue to transpire as it has in the past. There's a problem with that. President Trump and some other key people, and I mean a bunch of them, have been briefed in terms of the fact that they're obviously aware the horse hockey, the idea of an ankle biter munching around on your ankles don't fly. The American people are tired of it, and I mean tired to the point where they're looking at smacking somebody over it. Okay, we're at the edge, and we'll find out very, very quickly. One, are they serious about attending to this disease and turning business back on worldwide? That's one question that will be answered very near future. Number two, are the divisions sufficient to cause a society to break down? Now, this does not have anything to do with our democracy. When society goes, everything else goes. That's where you take a gun and go, instead of your wallet, and you go shopping. basically. And you're going to have a whole bunch of people if this continues. Now, you got to remember, it's got to continue. How many people are in big cities? That's the first question. Number two, the second part of that is, what do they got? Have they got a little bitty apartment where they can't store any canned goods and that sort of thing? Do they have a water supply outside of the municipal pipes? When any of that stuff stops, be it the electricity, water, whatever, or they go to the store and the store's empty, you're going to have people coming out of big cities. And we already got our area is already set to be locked down. We've already got positions to take up. And believe me, the people that are going to man these positions are professionals. You ain't getting past them no matter what you bring. To go along with it, certain portions of the military have stipulated to certain people that if there is a great need, and by that I mean something gets to the point where a group of people is going to wipe out a town or something of that nature, just give us a call. We'll come over and bomb the crap out of them or whatever it takes. Oh, hey, if a whole bunch of people try to come into our area and take what we got, they better bring body bags because we're going to need a bunch of them. I'm a combat veteran, and these people would be an enemy. They would be looking at going after my wife. I'm going to have that. Come after me, and I will shoot back. Come after my wife, and I make sure I don't miss. Real simple. Somebody wants to barbecue your dog. I'm pretty sure if you had a gun, you'd shoot him. I didn't say kill him. I said shoot him. And there's places you can shoot somebody, believe me, they do not want to be shot. Anyway.
So you got to be a good aim then, though.
No, you don't. Just get up close and personal and go, oh my, I can't drop it. I'll pull the trigger. You hear a guy scream and run off limping real funny. Well, now you know what happened to the poor boy. He got his comeuppance. Everything's set to reset everything. It's all set up. It's all ready to go. Active duty troops are on full alert. Most governors have been notified to be ready to activate the National Guard. And the militias want to go shoot some politicians that desperately need it. Oh yes. Anyway, the situation is this. It got announced only once, and I thought that was really, whenever they only announce something once or say something about a certain thing only once, you can pretty much expect that that's really what's going on. They probably, like mention something once and, oh boy, I don't know nothing about it, twiddle your thumbs, right? Well, it got mentioned once that America should try to, and I said try to, and that's their words, not mine, should try to be as normal as possible. Well, first of all, you can't define normal, so any insanity case will do. What they've stipulated in the way of going out, don't go out and party at night with your friends. That's a no-no. You stay home. All right? And they catch you out there, and your butt goes to jail, and now you're going to love this. You get at least 2 weeks quarantine to make sure that you ain't some kind of typhoid Mary. I carried a virus. Want some? Here. Let me rub it on you. If you're going to the store or you're going to get medicines or something of that nature. Now, I don't know how critical they would consider running out of toilet paper as being, but if you couldn't go to the store and buy any because everybody else already got there first, that could be considered a critical problem. And I would put it as such to whatever official I was talking to. Right now, it's the police. The general police they're watching, making sure people ain't being stupid. One of the things they're watching for is organized crime, such as gangs and whatnot, going out and looting places. You try to do that, your butt's going to be put in a sling real quick. These people are ready. When the little camera shows, hey, they're going for it, within a minute or two, you're going to have people there to deal with them. Okay, what?
Doing this sort of thing. And they're fully aware that, people get hungry. I mean, it's like they don't act normal, right?
Yeah. Well, or now it's not necessarily hunger. It's not necessarily just hunger. Most of the problems we got right now are from the fear porn horse shit that the mainstream media is putting out, causing bad cases of paranoia. But when people get hungry, ooh, they're dangerous.
Well, yeah, that's what I was getting at. But anyway, this this virus thing, they have got it blown so big. I mean, they're scaring people, the bejeebers out of people, and it's not helping matters at all. I mean, in a a cold and a flu. I mean, how many people? 200 different flu viruses already, and people get a cold every year, and people die from the flu every year, and yet this has been so blown out of.
This thing's supposed to be the excuse. Think about it in that term, and you'll understand. You'll see where it goes. All anybody has to understand that is you are allowed to go to the grocery or the pharmacy, normal travel. I got to check on my grandma, that sort of thing. Those are the travel restriction or getting people together restriction has certain open doors in it, and I think it's a good idea to keep those doors open. If it were me, like I said, we'd be over this thing in about 3 days.
I thought part of the idea of all this happening was the fact that they were taking down the cabal and the bankers and the
supposed to. That's supposed to what it's supposed to lead up to. That's why the military production edict was so important. That allows Trump and this administration to do as is needed for the agenda. Now, the first thing was they got to scare the crap out of people. Number two, make sure that it looks like we're doing something. But the third part is the crux. Don't let nobody know that you're sneaking up on them. They don't want. There's a list of oligarchs. I've seen it, and I read some of it, and I tried to get a copy, and they told me my pay grade wasn't high enough to do that. So I got a copy from the old Cold War spy network, and it's 60 pages, a one-line print. Think about it, 60 pages, one-line print. You can get about 100 or so per page. So there's about 6,000 of them on there. And these are the people that are up front. These are the people that are going to have to take out. The things that have been going on in terms of the horse hockey that's been coming up, a case in point, Schumer saying that threatening the Supreme Court justices. What is wrong with the boy? He should have been arrested as soon as he did that. They should have grounded his friggin' airplane and said, "You ain't going nowhere, boy. Here, I got a set of bracelets. Put your hands behind your back." That's what should have been done. You may not. Now, and there's a couple of people running around out there that have signified that we ought to hang President Trump. Well, that's a threat against the president. It's just like the Supreme Court justice. You go to jail for that crap, or should. If it was a regular person like me or you or some of our listeners, you wouldn't see the light of day for a long time. Well, maybe they need to start doing that with this. Now, I understand that there is a partial list of critical people in terms of the deep state, in terms of the cabal, or however you want to look at it, that are due to be arrested very soon. They didn't tell me when, and they refused to tell me. They think that the guys might know that we're coming and try to hoof it out of here. Okay.
Well, this bit about it's coming or it's going to happen, it's getting old. It needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, it's like closing the Canadian border. That's the biggest friggin' joke on the planet, just about. You've got several thousand miles of really deep woods, and you got a whole bunch of Indians and hunters and whatnot that know the little trails that you never even have a suspicion is there. They found one the other day by accident. Somebody, I think somebody had some pots and pans or something, and when they fell over, they made a clangety clang noise, and all the border agents was woof and snatched them up. There was like, 20 of them or something in the group. But the situation is untenable. We cannot stay shut down. either locally here or globally. Can't do it. Well, so what do we got to do? Fix the disease. Trump said that several times. Well, okay, President Trump. Now, and I have sent this through my chain that links to Trump, that it's time to go get that antiviral, among other things, and start using the hell out of it. Forget a vaccine. Vaccines are dangerous.
Okay, I'm glad to hear you say that, because vaccines.
Oh, it is. They are.
What is in it? I'm sorry, but I have to be suspicious about anything that they would be giving out.
Talk louder.
I said I would have to be suspicious about anything that they would be starting to hand out to people, because we're in the mode. I mean, if the cabal was still in control.
Nope, they lost it.
Okay, that's good.
That was taken their control. They eliminated some 75, 80 people right in the area where this started. Everybody should know that. Now, that's classified information that is what they call confidential. You're not supposed to talk about it on the news media. Well, when I release something, the classification comes off of it. And I just released that so that you and everybody will know. Okay, 70, 80 people somewhere in that area. I'm not sure about exact numbers. They snatched them, okay? I don't know if you can imagine what it might be like to be in a Chinese prison. Ooh, nasty dog. Okay, then the people with money went in and hired the main laboratory. Now, the main laboratory was involved in things like bioweapons and what we're dealing with. So they had
it was also involved in the formation of or development of the adrenochrome, which is a whole nother story.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about specifically is just the virus right now, okay? These scientists wanted to do something good. They wanted to help humanity. They didn't want to watch people suffer. So they put their nose to the grindstone, all of them. They worked 24/7 to come up with an antivirus. Now, one of them turkeys was South Korean. Now, he's working in China, but he's South Korean. He mysteriously left the country about the same time as all of a sudden in South Korea, the disease rate started going in the toilet. Oh, what do you mean we ain't got no? He took it over, formulation so that they knew how to reproduce it, and they've taken care of the problem. Now you know how it got there. Now here's the other part of it. No government entity will mess with the autonomy of the people, and specifically the scientists who have come up with not only this, but are also working on a vaccine. Government's not allowed in there. Big Pharma is not allowed in there. Now, Big Pharma showed up. That was another 15 people went to jail. They got testy with the guard. Oops. I mean, and this is all around Wuhan, or whatever the name of that place is. There's a big, major bioweapons laboratory there. It's big. What they did was they closed off a section of it, and the only thing that they had been concentrating on was the antiviral. Now, this antiviral is neat. It has the antigen, which kills the virus, and clinically pure water. There's nothing else in it. That's certified by the people that make it, okay?
What is this antigen? It's not...
What is the antigen? Well, it could be something as simple as chlorine bleach. I understand that kills it. I mean, I don't know what effect you'd have if you... Think about getting shot up with bleach.
You're not talking about an attenuated virus like they did.
No.
You're talking about something totally different, correct?
Yeah, this is that goes along with vaccines and other inoculations, where they put dead virus, or even some that's about half or 3/4 dead, in the shot that they give you, so that your immune system goes crazy and goes out, finds it, and kills it. Okay, that is from the 30s, basically.
Yeah.
Since then, what they've done is they came up with a chemical compound that attacks the capability of their genetics in the case of this virus, to work correctly. So it falls over dead almost immediately. It took them 6 weeks from where it began to where it ended in South Korea. 6 weeks. And they're not having cases. The reason they're not is that everybody's taking the shot. There are no side effects from this shot, which is nice. Other than he's got to, get stuck in the arm.
Yeah, I just have an issue with that. I'm sorry, I can't.
Well, here's how, you probably ain't gonna like this, but here's how it is. Everybody's gonna get the shot.
No.
They will hold you down and administer it. I'm sorry, but everybody's gonna get this particular shot. Now, what this does is it sets your immune system up so that any other kind of pathogen that they think is cute to throw at the people won't work. Think about it. But anyway, that's just me. You can take all the issues you want, but they will come to your house, break the door down, hold you down, and administer the shot.
And I believe that that's something that's going to help me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, if somebody said you're going to die if you don't drink the Kool-Aid, what would you do?
I'd say prove it to me. Prove it.
Huh?
Prove it to me. Prove it.
Prove what? Prove what? There's no proof to it other than what's going on in South Korea is a good example. Think about going from a height, and they were accelerating. The cases were accelerating.
How many cases are we talking about here? How many cases?
Huh?
How many cases are we talking about?
Several 100,000.
Several 100,000?
Yeah.
In South Korea?
Yeah.
Why were there so many in South Korea as opposed to Italy or China?
Because China, well, that's not a large number. Several 100,000 doesn't compare to Italy, which has millions. This is why everybody gets a shot. A whole bunch of people don't have any symptoms, and they want to be a typhoid Mary. They're going to have to do it on their own time. But the choice is very simple. If necessary, they will hold you down and administer the shot. You can go crazy after you get the shot. I don't like the idea, but I mean, you want to argue. It's like an incident I know of where somebody decided they'd like to argue with the police who showed up. Same difference. That's where the military comes in.
That's totalitarianism, in my opinion.
I can't hear you. Talk loud.
I said that's totalitarianism, fascism, to force people into something.
Sometimes you don't have a choice. Now, if somebody was going to barbecue your dog and you had a gun around, would you get the gun and go after them to keep them from hurting their dog? I can tell you right now, if I was in the room, I carry a gun anyway, but if I was in the room and somebody decided they were going to barbecue your dog, I'd shoot them. I wouldn't hesitate a bit. You want fascism, you want full control, death usually works.
Well, yeah, you touch that dog and...
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to get across to you. The same thing's true in terms of what they're trying to accomplish with this. Now, this is the first time, and I mean the first time, that they've come up with something of this nature pretty much autonomously. It's also the first time that the world's been in this kind of condition. This is new ground. You're going to have to deal with some things you might not like right at first. When you don't get sick from this stuff and your lungs collapse, that I think is worth the shot. Now, the shot, as I said, it's got an antigen, kills the virus, and clinically pure water. That's it.
I want to know what the antigen is.
It's a chemical compound. Hold on a minute. I'll explain it to you. It's a chemical compound about 3 feet long. That's what the antigen is. I'll see what I can do about having one of the chemists that made the shit send you a copy of what it is.
Okay.
He's been putting it out all over the place. Twitter, Facebook. He's busy. And China says, go ahead. They're for it, for the simple fact that the ideology.
Country.
Huh?
That's a communist country. I wouldn't trust them.
Well, I got friends there, and I would suggest that some of those people are more trustworthy than our very own politicians.
Well, I don't trust them either. I never have.
Well, I trust so a lot of these politicians a lot less than I do the so-called communists you're talking about. I mean, we're not going to go back to the old McCarthyism of hunting reds. That ain't happening. What is going to happen is a sudden, large. You talk about taking a shot is bad. They're going to give society a dose of law and order, big time. Watch and see. Have to. You got to end it somewhere. So that's what the reasoning behind this stuff is. And I still take issue that they haven't brought that stuff over here and started using it. It's past time, overdue. Let's get her done.
Okay. Well,
Okay, questions?
That's a lot to think about.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
I'm just full of it. And it leaked.
ask some of the people I know in the medical field.
Oh.
They know about this antigen that they have.
Well, like I said, I'll see if I can get a copy of it and send it.
Okay.
Send it to you, and then you can run. Now, remember, this thing's about 3 foot long. It is one of the most complex chemical associations known to man. Now, when they first came up with the virus, a little bitty vial of it, the first thing you started working on was something that would kill it. That's the requirement, supposedly. But anyway.
Well,
So,
if you're gonna create something, you better have an antidote for it.
yeah.
You want to protect yourself, even though you're planning on killing a bunch.
You got it. Them journals don't want to shrivel up and die.
Well, the ones who created it are the ones that need to shrivel up and die.
I think we ought to make sure they got it and put them on a little deserted island somewhere out in the middle of the ocean and see how they do.
Yeah.
What do you mean there's no food? I'm on my Mickey D's. Well, you're going to have to go catch that lizard over there and fry him up. Are we having fun yet?
Yeah. Are you ready for some questions?
Of course. I've been ready for questions since before I started my diatribe.
Well, we got a backlog of questions because of that.
Quit it.
But anyway, we'll get through what we can without taking too long. So one of the first questions out the gate is, what is the status of the RV?
Well, it's not an RV. It's a GC. Hold on. It's GCR, which will cause the revaluation or Republican reset. Okay, and it's well on its way. From what I understand, some of this financial problem is because they're preparing for it. Think about a cashless society. Ooh.
Well, that's the scary thought. What's this talk about getting checks, like a couple $1,000 check?
Well, they're working on sending everybody, supposedly everybody. I don't know if it's everybody or not, but everybody that's got problems with financial problems because of the BS that's going on, they're talking about sending them checks along with small businesses and other things. So, and everybody wants bailed out. Cruise ships, sports stadium, you name it.
You can't go to work. You can't go to work. And you're one of those people that lives from check to check. How are you going to pay your rent? How are you going to buy?
Good question. How you going? Well, you're supposed to be allowed to take your check down and cash it at your bank, take out whatever cash you need, and go about your business. Shut down or not, supposedly.
Some of us don't have bank accounts for. I don't trust them. Anyway,
Well,
sorry. Okay, next question. Let's see. Oops, wrong thing. Who is Austin Steinmark?
somebody you don't want to fool with,
Oh,
seeing as how you asked.
that's not much of an answer. Okay.
There's a whole bunch of people out there got names like that or some such, and I don't have anything to do with them. I know what they are and where they come from, what their agenda is. And so I don't fool with a lot of people. Some I do.
Okay. Let me see. Would
Almost had a question there.
Yeah. Well, it was one of those another long statements before they get to the question. So I'm trying to get to the
Let
question.
me read you this book.
What happens? Yeah, really, that's what it boils down to. What happens to money invested in the stock market if it collapses? Is it lost for?
Poof. It goes poof up in smoke. It turns into like fog in fresh air. When they mix, fog disappears. Okay, here's the thing: the dollar, in terms of its strength, is going up. Believe it or not. The reason being is that we are supposed to be handling things. One of the reasons. The other reason is that the oligarchs, deep state, nasties, cabal, whatever you want to call it, are the ones that are responsible for the sudden upward explosion in the stock market. Now, that takes billions, as I've stipulated before. It takes billions of dollars to do that. Look at the billionaires. Now, if you want to know who the deep state, oligarchs, cabal, troublemakers are, get a list of the investors that are fooling around real heavy on the stock market right now, and have in the near past. You'll have a pretty comprehensive list as to who really needs to go to Gitmo.
Who, if plastics disappear, what happens to the cleaning products or food stored?
Okay. Now, I know what they did. They took that out of context. Here's how it works. We transitioned from 3 to 4, and a lot of the things that have been put together in man's wisdom incorrectly. Now, by that I mean they did not cause the items to interface, to be tight together like cloth or something. When those things run up against the transition, they have a tendency to just let go. So you're liable to see Pelosi standing at the podium naked. What kind of clothes? Yeah, seriously. Most of the products that they use for any kind of heavier use will do just fine, to include clothes.
Will air travel continue to be used as we know it for a time?
For a time, it's going to take a little bit of time before we have a commercialized set of jump rooms, so you can go from city to city to wherever. Okay, and this is the option, hovercraft, so that you're not burning any fuel, and you're not wearing out the roads by running your tires on them and all that stuff. So it's going to take some time to implement that.
Okay, so after the transition, we'll continue as previously for a period of time anyway?
Yeah, it's going to be something that's going to be, lessened considerably, and it's going to fall tremendously right at first, because the ETs are bringing what they call industrial sized replicators, where they can replicate hovercraft.
Wow. Okay.
That's something to look forward to. Can you imagine how I see how they drive now. I can't imagine having something that's airborne.
Yeah, really.
That's scary.
Will most businesses continue to operate as usual, at least for a period of time?
Well, what?
Well, most businesses?
Yeah. There's, like I say, this is not a real sudden kind of a thing, but it's something that you're going to have to understand that it's going to take a period of time to work out the bugs and get everything right, make sure things work correctly. That's basically what that will need to be done.
Okay. If your home is under contract, will the transaction go forward or does everything come to a halt?
No, the ownership of property is primarily, let's put it this way. Present ideas of ownership of property is screwed up.
Yeah.
You don't really own it. Okay, that's first. Number two, the switch or change that's coming will also change the parameters or basis of what you're doing in terms of giving you permanent ownership. In other words, the government can't screw with it, etc. And I mean any level. Thirdly, it'd be a lot easier to transfer, you know, into an estate or be sold. Okay.
I heard a tidbit on the news on Thursday about Operation Python going on, something about arrests all over the country for cartel members. Is this ongoing in Mexico or the United States? Can you tell us anything about it?
It's ongoing, and it's one of those things that's doomed to fail.
Okay.
It was originated by the bad guys, and that you can pretty much assume what you want from that.
Will Trump be reelected?
Yes, if there's an election.
I was just going to say, is there really such a thing as an election, or is it selection? Which is
Well, you get the main problem everybody's being exposed to is questioning it all. This is a psyops by just about every enemy we have. What they're trying to do is sow doubt, combination of fear, doubt, and not feeling they can trust anybody. Well, most politicians can't be trusted anyway. Whether they're Mr. Putin or not doesn't make any difference. So consequently, you have to look at things relatively. You have to have things in perspective of reality. Big difference between what we got going on now and what's coming.
okay. Is the real Bernie Sanders bedridden?
I've heard, if you can imagine any rumor about anybody that's well known, you'll probably hear it at one point or another. Bernie has to take it easy. He's not allowed to be all too excited and or any of that shit. He's not allowed to do that. He's already had heart attacks and whatnot. They don't want him to have the last one.
I don't think someone like that should be running for anything. But anyway. Okay. Has Michael Bloomberg been arrested?
No.
Okay.
They don't have enough money to arrest him.
Oh, you're not gonna believe this one. I was shocked the other day. I was in the store looking at the empty toilet paper shelves. And anyway, on the newspaper for Arizona, it said Biden wins the nomination in Arizona, and I'm going, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me.
He pretty much has. Seriously.
Well,
They will do anything to keep the socialist Bernies out. Okay? Even if it means running Biden, they know he don't stand a chance.
he can hardly find his way out of the driveway, but you know.
He's going to get roasted by Trump the hard way.
I have some real issues with him as far as the way he.
Who? Biden?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean,
You mean the fact that he gets lost in his own driveway is a problem?
Yeah, not to mention the fact that he can't help himself from molesting.
He don't know. Now, remember one thing. The boy's been around for a long time. And here's something that he could be funning a lot of people by playing games of, I know one of you guys is my wife, where when he was on the podium, he mistook his sister for his wife.
Yeah.
Okay, he may be doing some of that on purpose. Bear in mind, he's sneaky.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's disgusting. Anyway, okay. Do you have an update for us on the list of dates you shared that included quarantines, martial law, Obama's arrest, and disclosure ET landings? Are those things still going to happen? Are they still on the time?
Yes, they're on schedule, and it's not for me to disclose the schedule. If you warn the enemy that you're coming, they will prepare for you. And we got an enemy that's might be standing right next to you. Might be working in close proximity. Ooh. Well, that's the fact of it.
Anything you can tell us about the most, tell us would be most, this doesn't make sense. We were watching Victoria Linguist, and she was saying that the 11 days of darkness is coming before Easter, and that it will possibly happen in our sleep.
Let me express it. It's real simple. That's an old biblical prophecy, and that prophecy has been negated. It no longer is going to happen. Hello. Now, you don't like what I'm saying? That's up to you. Personally, I went and checked, just like you can, and found out there's biblical prophecies that would make you stay up all night forever.
Okay. Was the Ahura Mazda of ancient Persia an ET? And if so, where was he from?
He was an ET. Most of the ETs that populate the planet basically are Pleiadian. Okay, now that does not mean that it's not an offshoot race. So that's basically what the idea is. They are a superior race, by the way. You like them. You probably like them. They know a lot more than I do.
Who does?
Pleiadians.
Pleiadians? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was he a good or bad?
I'd say good.
Does zeolite help against the coronavirus?
It can, but I don't recommend that particular.
That's a chelator for heavy metals more than anything else.
Well, if you want to take care of the coronavirus, it's very simple. Host defense, zinc, and dandelion. Those three.
What was the third one?
Dandelion.
Dandelion?
Yeah, like the weed in your yard.
Oh, dandelion? That's a new one. I haven't heard that one before, but that's
dandelion is great for all kind of stuff.
Okay. Okay, my children do nothing than, they're talking about the neosporin thing. The other thing that people can do, besides the neosporin is the colloidal silver gel around the nose might be a benefit.
Neosporin works better. It's better to take an eyedropper and put a couple of drops of liquid colloidal silver suspension in a glass of water and drink it. Don't do that all the time, and don't do it real regular. Maybe once or twice a week. That's all you need. I mean, they used to put silver coins in milk and leave it on the doorstep, and it wouldn't go sour. The reason it wouldn't is that the silver got into the milk. Bingo.
They used to use silver before before antibiotics came along, and
yeah, exactly.
And it was a way for the pharmaceutical companies to make more money. So,
yeah, exactly.
Let's see, if they decide to implement a quarantine or martial law, how would they announce that?
Well, there's not going to be a quarantine per se. It's going to be martial law to the effect that you can't travel. Now, that does not mean you can't go to the grocery, the post office, and the bank. That does not mean that at all. What it means is that you're not allowed to go get in the car and drive to the next county for a party. That's basically what they're talking about. So if that becomes necessary, and it's they got a problem right now with student break going crazy on the beaches. There's a lot of people out there shouldn't be there, but they're there anyway. And nobody's done anything officially with them yet, so wait until that happens.
Okay. It would any kind of warning rather than a last minute.
Yes.
Well, that's kind of pontificating here.
Uh-oh.
Okay, here's one. Drake, with all due respect, I've been listening to you for several years, and the phrase "it's coming" has been a constant theme at this point with everything we've seen take place so far from the government and elsewhere. I am forced to wonder if you're being given a line of hopium to pass on to us. Like, in other words, your intel is not what you'd like it to be. Again, with all due respect, I'm not trying to smear. I'm not trying to, smear you, but they're just wondering about the veracity of the message being presented to the messenger.
Okay, well, the message is very clear. The ideology of hopium is a political phrase used when you jack somebody's mind up in the direction you want them to go.
Oh, really?
I don't do that. I wouldn't do that, not even to Gail. And the thing about it is very simple. What I'm going to do is give you certain information. Do with it whichever direction or whatever it is that you want to do with it. You don't have to listen to me if you don't want to. That's up to you. But I'm not going to lie to you, and I'll get you the best information I can from the best sources. That's all I do. Okay?
What else can you do? You know, if at some point somebody gives you information that's not what you would think it would be, what, you know, is that your fault?
Well, I have made apologies and retractions from bogus information I got from the wrong people that I was listening to, which I have replaced. They're no longer a part of my system. So, you know, if I find somebody's lying to me or playing games or putting some kind of spin on stuff, I don't have anything to do with them, period.
Okay, why was Al Sharpton been allowed to get away with not paying taxes for so many years?
He still ain't paying taxes. So that's a good question. One of us does that shit, they come get us. Well, maybe somebody needs to escort the boy at gunpoint down to the IRS office and say, here he is, put him in jail. See what happens. Well, these are the kinds of things that cannot be allowed. The law is to be applied equally to everybody, whether somebody really likes the law or don't like it or whatever. It doesn't make it. It's the law. That's, you know, now some of the law is not enforced to the point where they break your legs and stuff, even though I think it probably should be. Al Sharpton is a good example of a kingmaker. You want the black vote, you got to kiss my ring. Well, I remember a guy that was a godfather in a movie that did that.
But, you know, here's the other thing. Just like there's these congressional people that get away with murder, literally,
Yeah.
and aren't ever held accountable. It's just like an interesting thing that I discovered was their children do not have to pay back student loans.
Well, I'll stipulate this very simply. There are two sets of laws in this world, one for special people and one for everybody else.
Yeah.
The one for everybody else ain't nice at all. The one for the special people, oh, they can tiptoe through the tulips and have a good time and kill any prostitute or whatever they feel like they want to do.
Yeah, but that's not me.
That is part of the law, the new law and order that's coming up. This is why I stipulated there's a bunch of people that everybody is familiar with in terms of their name or position. Bye-bye. You've been a bad boy. You keep in trouble. Come with me. Mm.
Is it true that the Reverend Jesse Jackson betrayed Dr. Martin Luther King by assisting in his assassination?
By what? Assisting in his assassination? Well, here you go, Jesse. You can jump on me all you want. It's true, factual, and I can give you witnesses. Ooh, go fry your rainbow coalition with that one, boy.
Yeah.
And that was a boy with a small b.
Talk about betrayal, boy. Wow.
Yeah. Martin Luther King was a friend of my family. This is why I know some of this stuff. Some of those people that were witnesses to and found out about this stuff come talk to us. Real deal, funsy-wunsy.
That's dirty, boy. I swear. There's a lot of that, though. Do windmills...
What?
This is a weird question. Do
Maybe not.
windmills cause cancer in any way?
It depends on what you use to create the field necessary to attend to the cancer. A windmill is by itself is of no effect, but if you add some things to it, then you can create certain frequencies of magnetic fields that will attend to your cats.
Oh, magnetic fields. Okay, that's interesting. All right.
Well, they also used it was what they called a screecher. They took the inner tube from used to be inner tubes in tractor tires, big ones. And they put this thing on there and they would spin that thing and there would be a spool that it would go around. And the spool that it would go around had a brake on it. It would resist being turned. And that thing, I don't know if you've ever heard of, it's like fingernails on a blackboard, amplified. Hey, it works.
That gave me a chill just thinking about it.
Well, I'm serious. That actually screeched, only instead of just fingernails, I'm talking about dragging an elephant tusk across the black, something funky.
Okay. Anyway, let's
back to normal.
once we have that, we can come back so easily. Will Nancy Pelosi and her traitorous cohorts ever be publicly exposed for taking money from the Mexican drug cartel?
Oh, among other things, they're on the arrest list, along with Obama, Schumer, you name it. They're fried. They're done. She's got a couple of very nasty lawsuits. She's going to have to answer in person in front of a federal judge for some of the things that she did. And she's never been forced to do that. And now the judge is willing to force her. If she does not comply, she sits in a jail cell until she decides to change her mind. Love it.
I'd like to see a lot of them in jail cells, actually.
Yeah.
Did QAnon ever write anything with a 3 or 4 year delta in mind?
Yeah.
Is that the end of the answer there?
Well, I don't want to get overly specific because people will figure out too much. What they need to do is understand what who Q is or what, and the application that's going on. And, if it's beneficial, so be it.
Okay. There were several posts by QAnon that ended with "the silent war continues." With 5 dots at the most, and each time with 1 dot less. What will happen when the dots run out? Is this?
You won't be able to say anything anymore. Oh.
Is that a Q's countdown to something?
Nah, I'm not going to say. I might get in trouble for that.
Okay.
Actually, Q's all right. He does a good job. He's a high-level intel officer, and yet he doesn't put his personal spin on things and actually explain some of what has transpired that we're not aware of. I kind of like that.
Will QAnon comment on the coronavirus anytime soon?
Well, I tell you what, he supposedly is available if you get a hold of contact information. Send him that question and tell him where everybody's waiting. Inquiring minds want to know and all that good stuff.
Inquiring minds want to know. Yeah. It looks like the coronavirus is spreading far and wide, and even some politicians end up infected.
We hope.
Is this actually the cleanup of the deep state puppets by the white hats under the pretense of a coronavirus infection?
Not exactly.
Like the leader of the Italian Democratic Party? Is this a purge?
Well, now, some people need to be infected with something that hurts. Politicians, mostly politicians. A politician is a guy that, while they're kissing babies, the baby's got to watch it. He'll steal their lollipops. It's not difficult to get this right. They'll tell you anything to get elected. Ooh, what do you mean? We'll put a chicken in every pot. Remember this. And if you don't have a pot, we'll fix that too. Uh-huh.
Did you hear what what's her face said? Omar said. Was it Omar? No, it was the other one, Cortez lady. Said that Trump is fulfilling his campaign promises because he wants to get reelected. Duh.
Yeah, well, that gives you an insight into the intellect you're dealing with, what we're supposed to be fighting against.
I know, that cracked me up. But
it gets easy when all the lights are on and nobody's home.
Is there a connection between coronavirus outbreak in Italy, since there is a lot of black nobility families living there, not to mention the Vatican?
Yes. What you have to understand is the relationship between the royal bloodlines and the people that live in Italy. And once you understand that most of the, and I use this loosely, mob or whatever you want to call it, is related, then the blood typing of the coronavirus going after certain individuals where it leaves the other ones alone becomes a lot more interesting, especially when it goes after people who are Iranian by blood. Ooh.
Are white hats arresting them?
No. White hats are can be good guys, but I would not use that term to describe the people that would be doing the arrests. Now, I don't know if you follow the news, but a whole bunch of gendarmes armed went to the Vatican and arrested a whole shitload of bad guys that had been messing up little kids' lives. I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I read that too.
Made my day.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Is total Italy lockdown an excuse or a diversion for some other secret operations against someone?
Well, what you got to understand that the whole thing is bogus. That's why they said it was a bunch of mythology, and that it was some kind of a prank being played on everybody. That's not exactly the case. Coronavirus is real, okay? What is not real is this continued push by people who are in positions of authority to continue the fear porn running in mainstream media. They need to cut that shit out.
Yeah.
And get real.
You know what I was thinking about the coronavirus is you'd want to get the old school kind.
Yeah, like the flu we had last year. It's much nicer and it don't kill nobody.
Are these lockdowns, like in Italy, part of the Defender Europe 20 military operations taking place in Europe by U.S. military to remove the cabal?
Yes. It's a prelude to it, let's put it that way, okay? They're getting ready to stomp a whole bunch of people out that desperately need it.
Good. So the cabal released the virus in China, and now the white hats are using coronavirus in the U.S. as a cover for military operations against the deep state?
Not exactly. It's more like a distraction, and let's let's start using white hats less. White hats reminds me of the group that I have been involved with for a period of years, and they don't get involved in the policing. Okay, the good guys, on the other hand, they just enjoy taking a nightstick and straightening somebody's mind up. Anybody home? Hello.
What would the white hats do to perform mass arrests if the deep state didn't manufacture coronavirus outbreak?
They were planning to do it anyway. Like I say, the deep state thought they could use this as a diversion to prolong their existence and being loose in public and whatnot. And the only problem is that they opened Pandora's box, it turned right around and bit them on the ass. All their moneymakers quit. Oh, can't have that. Let's sacrifice everybody. We want to get rid of them anyway. Pretty simple.
Let's see what we got next here. Is there a connection between Stardust operation that Gabriel Ray Lunar on Disclosure News website was talking about and the coronavirus?
Sort of, kind of. Sort of, kind of, maybe. It's really, really, really convoluted in terms of trying to explain it on a straight up question. Okay.
What is the real reason behind National Guard's presence in New York?
That's pretty simple. Local government can't handle it. Local police ain't up to the job either. So they got to bring in somebody that looks really official. And they come marching down your street.
What is the most accurate definition of an archon?
I would go back to the archives. there are archives, and what you want to do is you want to put in Archon, and then put in Archon/archives. I think you would probably get the best information that way. Archon is a multi-existence kind of entity, not easy to explain.
We've answered this once before, but we got another question on it. So
that's fine.
Can Drake demonstrate levitation on the show? And why does he say no parlor tricks? Levitation is not a parlor trick.
What you're asking me to do sure as hell is a parlor trick, and the answer is I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
I mean, I will. Let's put it this way, Gail. I'll demonstrate to you if you want to learn it, and you're really interested in it to the point where you're going to have to take some time to do it. And that goes for anybody. I do one-on-one sessions only. It's really a freak out when you are doing this, that, and the other thing, and all of a sudden you find yourself kind of floating in air. Ooh, that's cool, you know.
I would think it would take some time anyway to be able to get to that point.
Well, first, study my books out thoroughly, all of them. Secondly, be prepared to activate all the shit in the books.
Okay.
There's a load in there.
When did the deep state first discover adrenochrome?
Oh, that stuff's been around. Let's see here. It started from the magicians that came before Egypt. These are the old school magicians.
That far back?
Huh?
I said it goes that far back.
Well, it goes further back than that because they learned it from alchemists, and the alchemists are the ones that supposedly use a combination of specific field anomalies, things floating around the atmosphere that you can't see, and that sort of stuff, converting lead to gold. Well, they've done that, okay, among other things. The neat part about it all is that alchemy is like Wiccan. Similar, very similar. They almost go hand in hand. Where your intent and purpose in what you do causes things to happen, basically. The neat part about that stuff is that it came from an ET about 12,500 years ago in order to augment the health of the survivors of the great disaster that happened at that time.
Okay. Oh, okay. Were they told, that question went on with another question, were they told about it from the Anunnaki or the reptilians on what it is and how to make it and use it?
It was pirates from the Palladian system.
The alchemy, though, is a little different than the...
Alchemy is simply the study of natural science and the manner in which you go about making things happen. Basically, that's all it is.
Yeah, but that's not how we're getting the adrenochrome that all of these...
No. The adrenochrome is... actually, I would not recommend anybody fool with it. It's nasty and dangerous.
Look what people look like after they can't get it anymore. Like
shrivells them up and eats them up from the inside.
Yeah, it's horrible. And you can actually look it up now on Google, and it's not censored.
Don't bet on that.
I looked it up, and I was surprised how much information was there. So I don't know how long.
Yeah. And you hope that somebody didn't fool with the information. Those people at Google like to play with things.
Well, just the idea of how comes from tortured little children is just so disgusting. But anyway.
Okay.
And you recommend the most accurate book on the Anunnaki. I have read books by Zechariah Stitchin, Michael Tillinger, and Gerald Clark. Are there books that are more accurate than theirs? I think those are very accurate myself, but you may have another opinion. I don't know about
the Emerald Tablets, for one. The access to the umum and thermum. Let's see here, what else? And the the Grand Hall of Illusion that you can only find in one place, and you get to go look for it. I'm going to tell you where. What happens is that the tablets and the writings and scrolls come up before you just like a great big video game. And I mean all of them. Ooh, so if you want to learn about this, try that. Try those. Go ahead. I hope you come back. Well, there's some things. There's forces of nature people shouldn't fool with, and it's like challenging Mother Nature. Oh, I'm gonna go surfing, or I'm gonna climb the highest mountain and ski off the top of it, or drop me off with a helicopter. Whatever. It's just eventually it will get you. Just that simple.
Trump's uncle John G. Trump is very similar in appearance to Julian Assange. Is there any connection between them?
No.
Okay. Anyway, okay. A few shows ago, you said something is going to happen on April 1st. Can you tell us more about that? That's April Fool's Day.
Yeah, well, you just named it. It's April Fool's Day. What do you believe?
Okay.
Now, there should be some things happening by April 1st. Whether they'll actually take place according to the schedule or not is all up in the air. Okay?
Cobra posted a new update titled Endgame Scenarios. He also mentions you in it and added a white hat itinerary with dates.
Who did?
Cobra.
Oh, boy.
Mentioned your name in it too, so I haven't had a chance to look that up. I saw the question yesterday and I was look it up. Get a chance, so I don't know which one, But anyway, supposedly he mentions you in it.
Okay.
We'll have to check that out.
Definitely.
Okay, let's see. Not every. Oh boy, another pontification one. I'm going to have to pass that question.
Now, why?
Okay. Drake was talking about the drawings for free energy he was going to sell. How can I buy the plans as I don't have Facebook accounts or any social media accounts? I'm willing to pay if the price is reasonable. I can make as I am a bit handy with things. I plan to use this way out in the country, just like Drake. So
yeah, well, here's the deal. Okay, it's not difficult to understand what I put forth. Okay, but it has to be concise. That's the part that's the hold up for right now, making the thing come out concise. If you have a wire that's this long, it conducts different than a wire that's this long. And depending on what you're doing in terms of putting electricity through that wire, depends on what kind of results you get. You got to watch what you're doing. I do not want to sell something that people are going to go out there, flip the switch and blow themselves up. That would not be cool.
Well, I guess you have to put use at your own risk on it.
No. I'll just make it safe. That's all. No big deal.
So, in other words, no one can get the plans at this point in time.
No, I got the plan sitting right here.
Okay. Does Drake know what's happening in Canada?
Yes, they are having actually a worse time than we are because they didn't have the resources necessary to slow down, stave off, and stop the horse hockey from getting to them. Then all of a sudden, coronavirus landed and really screwed it up.
Wow.
And you got a leader up there that's a pansy. I'm sorry. That's just, that's just what he is. I can't help the poor guy. Okay, I have stipulated they ought to think about getting somebody else in there. Hire the night watchman and put him in. See if he does a better job. I mean, it's an open field.
Really? Okay. Oh, this was interesting. I didn't know. Hadn't heard this. They're talking about in Canada. They're having rotating strikes since December 2019. The teachers union, and they're ongoing. And on February 21st, all the unions are striking. That is walking out, and all the schools will be closed. I guess that doesn't matter now, does it?
No.
Unions are supporting the books of Michelle Obama.
Ooh, imagine that.
Can
Now you know why I call a boy a pansy. Nah.
you elaborate on that at all? That's what's that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. You're going to find that they got their the unions got their ideas from the unions in Chicago. At the point that the unions in Chicago decided to go on strike, bear in mind they were making $70,000 a year. They wanted 75 to 80. The city said, "No, get it. We're not selling taxpayers to the meat grinder just because you want more money." Well, they decided to take them to federal court, and guess what? Teachers won. Now, if it was me and I was dealing with a problem of that nature, whether it's teachers or whomever it might be, here's what I would do. I'd treat these teachers just like Ronald Reagan decided to play games with the air traffic controllers. Bye. There's plenty of teachers out there who'd like to have a job, especially making that kind of cash.
Okay. Air traffic controllers have a pretty stressful job, though, I will say that. But anyway.
Have you ever had 30 to 50 teenagers in the room with you?
Well, maybe we don't pay teachers enough.
Exactly. They don't buy them body armor and a few other minor things.
It's funny.
What do you need a machine gun for? You haven't seen my class lately, have you?
Usually most of the service occupations, they don't pay as well.
I know.
So, if you're doing something in service to people, you just don't get paid as well.
You got it. You got it.
Just like here, we don't get paid.
No. Well, we're doing this for posterity.
Okay. Scheer lost the election and has resigned. So what is next for the country? Some are saying the current PM, JT, has a drinking problem. Just your friend there. Just like Sir John A., the very first Prime Minister of Canada. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, but you ain't gonna find out the absolute truth if it's been more than overnight. Same thing's true of military actions and politics. If it's been overnight, they will have made it look like something totally different or changed it or deleted it. You probably will have a one hell of a time getting a hold of the truth. And if you can find it, while you're looking at the documents catch fire. Oof.
Isn't it, I hear this so many times from so many people, and I feel the exact same way myself, is we all just want the truth. Why can't we get...
Well, look at George, you want the truth? Look what happened to George Bush's drunken records of being in the military. All of a sudden, he's a good boy. Horse hockey.
Or then there was, look what happened with McCain, no name.
McCain was simple. He had PTSD so bad that if you clap your hands behind his head, it'd take him several hours to calm back down again. And they were, yeah, well.
Well, I don't have much good to say about him, but anyway.
Yes.
That's just my opinion. There are cases of coronavirus in our city. What can we use to protect ourselves and family members?
That's very simple. What they recommend is you wash your hands a lot. You take Neosporin and put it around your nostrils. I also recommend that you take Host Defense, which is a bunch of derivatives from mushrooms, dandelion, which takes care of about anything known to man, and zinc. Those three, along with, washing your hands and a few other, you should be good, okay?
Well, I mentioned the nanoparticles of silver, and they do make a nano silver gel, and you could put that on your nose as well. But anyway, it's just, okay. Then they said something about Venus flytrap liquid. I never...
Yeah, you could probably use that too. There's a lot of different things out there that can work. The ones that I'm stipulating you can find at any decent health food store. Okay.
Yeah, you can get them. Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to stop by. Well, you might have to stop by the drugstore for the Neosporin. It comes in little bitty tubes.
If Bitcoin is not stable and not secure, does that mean the blockchain technology is flawed in some way?
Absolutely, it's openly hackable. Anybody wants to take all the money, they can. And on several occasions, they have done just pretty much that. They got 12 when Bitcoin was really going good. They got $12 million out of it, and they don't have a clue where it went. It just went poof. Only the thing was that all of a sudden, this guy that used to ride a bicycle, he's driving a Mercedes. Now that should give you a clue, but some people ain't too bright or on the uptake.
Okay. I think I heard on Quantum Shift that the new quantum financial system is based on blockchain technology. Is it stable and secure then?
It's not based on blockchain. That's the other thing. The new coming or newly to come financial system is based on the crystalline computer system that ET uses. Totally different deal. You'll see when they start showing up.
I am understanding, if I am understanding you correctly, that basically, unless you are already know how to grow your own food, raise livestock, and build your own house from the foundation to the roof, and already have your own land to do it on, complete with already planted veggies, we're basically as good as dead by the time the transition happens, or perhaps shortly after.
Not really, but it depends on which way this thing goes that we're dealing with presently, how very serious it can get. If the whole thing collapsed and nobody could be paid, what are you going to do for police and firemen? You're going to have a problem. This is why I stipulate you prep, get some food, water, and that sort of thing, and get a gun. You might need it.
You want to send me one?
The federal government frowns on that, but I know I can hook you up with some people that could send you one.
That might be a good idea. Okay.
The Cactus Gun Shop is one place you could go to.
Well.
Oh boy.
All right. Then I just need somebody to show me how to use it. But can't be too difficult. Millions of people have no clue about any of this. What about them? Is it just tough luck?
No clue about any of that. That's why we're doing these shows, trying to get the word out. Spread the disease. Make it go viral like free beer.
Okay. Will there be only about 361 people left on the entire planet by the time all this happens?
No, that's bogus. The Agenda 21 is based, the idea of population reduction is based on a very old prophecy that is no longer in effect. Oops.
Okay. Thanks to Democrat and media lies and omissions, people still think Trump is a worse sexual predator than Bill Clinton. Will Clinton's record be publicly confirmed, like on CNN?
I doubt CNN. I doubt it. CNN doesn't know what the truth is if they fell over it. Trump don't have any of those problems. Okay.
I don't think so either.
I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Trump's accusers and their enablers ever be forced to publicly recant their lies?
Well, that one I don't know about all that. If it was me, I'd put certain portions of their anatomy in a vise and commence to tighten it up until they decided they wanted to talk. Oh, can you hear the screams? Ooh.
I just noticed here, we got in my questions here, we have a Trump hater. Let me put it that way.
Oh, okay. Well, they can hate him all they want. I don't particularly like the way he acts. In large respect, but over the past 6 months, there's been some drastic changes in the manner in which he conducts himself. I applaud that. He's been very presidential, trying to answer questions and whatever during this crisis. So, you know, I look at that as beneficial.
Well, this one, I guess to be fair, I can go on with this, what this person goes on to say. And I laugh out loud about the Trump Republicans who still have a problem with Bill Clinton. Apparently they don't know him very well.
Yeah.
It's 10 times the reprobate that Clinton ever was, and yet Trumplicans are all serial. Oh my God. Okay, I'm not even going to read the rest of that.
Okay, let me stipulate something here. Y'all want to play political messages? I suggest you find a website that does that. We're not in the business of doing that.
Exactly.
What I see is a combination of psychological operations where they put in ideas and whatnot and sprinkle it throughout. Trump's not as nasty as everybody says he is. He ain't the greatest thing on two legs, but he's far from being the worst. I think we had 8 years of Obama, and a lot of people don't know about Obama. Go look him up. He's furthest thing from clean of any president that I know of. Now, there's been some perverts in the office of the president. Don't mistake that. But Trump is one of the more normals, and I look forward to reelecting him.
Well, what I like is he's not a politician.
Yeah, exactly.
That's part of the trouble, but I love that part.
Well, one of the neat things, if you look at the Democratic Party, they don't have any outsiders that are capable such as Trump. Bloomberg's too stupid to argue about things. The only thing he was busy holding up was his pants, trying to keep him from jerking him down to embarrass him during the debates. I mean, I would have given him more credit, but you got to earn it. Anyway.
Okay. Is it true that germs and viruses can be designed so that they will attack one race of people and not another?
Yes, it's called genetic triggering. Whenever it runs across a particular genetic makeup from a particular individual or race of individuals, it will attack. Now, that's been in an old sci-fi movie, let's see, late 80s, I believe it was. So it's been around, the idea has been around forever.
Okay. No, I'm not going to read that one. Every time the subject of crime comes up in relation to the Black community, the usual excuses fly. They're too poor family life, they live in bad neighborhoods. It just seems so hypocritical, as if Blacks have the corner market on poverty and poor family life. This is another pontification here. Meanwhile, there's plenty of poor people from every race living in less than stellar neighborhoods or family situations. It's not like we don't have thousands of stories just like Ben Carson's. Would that not qualify as bigotry of lowered expectations to make those sorts of excuses?
I think we're going to end up having to do the laundry all the way around. The crimes you don't see are the ones that are really nasty. The ones you can see out front, I mean, it's not nearly as nasty to shoot somebody as it is to torture them all their life to death. So, you got to look at things in relative reality. The problem is that, people love this. You can take the Civil Rights Act and use it for toilet paper, and the reason you can is because it never has had any real solid effect overall. Well, what happened? Come on, guys. You're willing to march to Selma behind Martin Luther King, but you're not willing to stand up for yourselves. Martin Luther King even said that didn't make sense. Go figure.
Well, man, whatever happened to responsibility and accountability, and I just.
Well, it's like saying that abortion is a right. Well, guess what? You also have a responsibility, and you're not upholding your end of it, so why should we uphold ours? Go figure it out yourself. Get a coat hanger and go visit Funky Bubba in the alley and get it took care of, Simple.
That's what happens, though, unfortunately. I know you're not against LGBTQ. That's too via previous statements. Yet you frequently condemn them for wanting special rights. While I agree that we are all supposed to be equal under the law, that is not how things go down in reality of application of the law or daily life, either from the government or the people. I know as I've experienced it personally. What are LGBTQ people supposed to do in those situations? Just roll over and take it? Well, you know what? It's like that with everything.
I'm gonna answer that because that's a long time coming. And here's how it is.
Okay.
Nobody but nobody, no special group of any kind has any special rights other than what you got in the Constitution. That said, I haven't seen too many people who are having a problem with people treading on their rights, standing up and having a federal judge say, you screwed up. When are you going to stand up for yourself? Hello? Oh, I stand up just fine. No, you don't. If anybody had been pushing the ideology that there is no orientation, be it race or color or whatever, that qualifies you for extra rights, everybody might realize it. Okay, here's the deal. It's called responsibility. You are to take up that gauntlet of responsibility, grab hold of it, and don't never let go, and beat people over the head on a legal basis with their responsibility of not doing nasty things to you because you are gay, black, or whatever. Pretty simple.
Sometimes female comes in there too.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see, where were we at? I doubt we would ever be rid of the Democratic Party. While I love the idea of Pelosi and her minions being arrested, I'm more interested to know if the Democratic Party will still exist as a political party or will it be disbanded?
After we transition, there won't be any such thing as political parties of any kind. It's gone. There will be humanitarian necessities seen to by people who can do that. There you go.
That sounds great. Okay. Representative Dan Crenshaw seems like a patriot, but he was okay with the red flag laws. What can you tell us about him? Is he a patriot?
No. Anybody that goes for the red flag law is a monstrous bastard that needs to leave our country because, number one, Second Amendment says we can. The Supreme Court ruled on that we can. Number two, and this is the biggie, you notice during the hearings for the impeachment process that the Trump lawyers and Trump people were not allowed due process. Due process protects you from people that are idiots like the ones running that inquiry. They wanted to play inquest. Then Pelosi has the unmitigated gall. We got to have a fair trial. Guess what, buttwipe? You need to take your snowflake, go home. You had your chance and you blew it. So, no. And you're not taking my guns without a gunfight. Just that simple. And there's a lot of people out there who also agree with that, and they're not going to play the game. It's bullshit politics. Taking guns does not, or restricting them or forbidding them, or you can't have a big magazine or any of that other happy crap. Ask Chicago, one of the strictest gun law places on the planet. How's it going in the Wild West? Hey, California is real restrictive. What's with all those mass murders? You dingle bats and your, gun-free zone. Well, guess what? I carry everywhere, period. Somebody don't like it? Well, it could get dicey depending on how they act about it. But the very simple fact is it says, shall not be infringed. What part of no don't you get? That's all I'm going to say.
All right. What? Well, it's absolutely critical that remains intact as is.
Well, anybody now, and I just did a little diatribe on rights. Where are all these people? Hello, the masses that might disagree with the idea of not having due process. Because if it can be guns one day, or your rights the next, maybe your freedom the third day, who knows? But if you don't stand up and have these laws declared unconstitutional, oh, it's for your safety. My ass, you policemen are outgunned and you don't like it. Don't play pablum puking with me. It don't work. Anybody who don't stand up for their rights doesn't deserve them.
You're right.
Oh, I haven't got radical. I have not got
Okay,
cranked up yet.
go get them. What can you tell us about Gina Haspel?
Who?
Gina Haspel, the current CIA director who was Trump's pick.
I'm not going to say anything because I know more about the guy than I should, and they asked me not to talk about the man in those terms. He will do just fine. Don't get in his way because he will play bulldozer with your. He play lawnmower and you're the grass.
You mean she, don't you?
Huh?
You're talking about Gina Haspel, right?
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of things people don't know about people, and that's one of the reasons that certain people get picked because they don't know about them. They're not sure. They don't know what to expect. Ooh.
Okay. Because then he went on to, can she be trusted? Is she really working
Yes.
to get the bad guys?
Yes.
Will she be able to get them under control, or will the CIA?
No. Forget the control crap. They're gonna put them in a jail cell. That's a pretty good control, actually, though. Come to think of it.
I don't want to. There's a lot of questions that come up about Kent Dunn, and I just don't want to go there.
I don't either. Hey.
Yeah, let's do one more question.
Okay. If you can find one that ain't about Kent Dunn. I don't have much use for the guy, but that's just me.
Okay. Questions, I mean, they go on and on and on. QAnon says we will never know all the details surrounding the deep state's treasonous activities, among other heinous crimes committed over the years by various players because of so-called, quote, quote, national security. In light of QAnon's statements regarding truth and transparency is the only way forward, I must ask why, especially when they didn't seem to mind Hillary Clinton selling our secrets to China and others. Will this mushroom treatment ever end?
Absolutely. It's on its way. It's called Law and Order, and they're going to get a dose of it where the sun don't shine. And I mean it quite literally. They're going to play proctologist with some of these dinglebats that have needed to have been addressed a long time ago. The duality of the law and application and all these other things are going to be dumped. And I mean dumped hard, not just, man, we're going to do it this way. No, it's going to be, hey, you got a choice. Either act right or go to the pokey. Which is it? Real simple.
Alrighty then. I think we are running over time. So
the learning curve is over. Cool.
We got more questions for next week because we're behind on questions anyway. But anyway,
okay.
Have anything else you want to add? Anything else you want to say to our listeners?
I think everybody ought to pay attention to some of the things that are going on that they don't see. Something that's not right in the news media. You get coronavirus stuff everywhere. What happened to all the rest of the news throughout the world? Find a place like RT or somewhere that covers it and stay informed. Then you'll know the right way to go.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you so much. I think that's
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you. Thank you. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Oh, boy.
Okay. And I'd just like to add one thing. This is Gail of Gaia. I appreciate any donations. They do help me a lot. We were having some technical and equipment issues, so I don't know what the issue is with that. But anyway, I appreciate any help, and I appreciate those that do. Thank you so much. And have a wonderful week. Keep listening and finding out what's going on, and do your own research. It's always good to find out for yourself whenever you can. And I'll see you next week. Thank you.